Welcome to the Grand Review. This is a show where we talk about movies, movie news, and things like that. But this episode is special because it's part of our 3-episode launch package. There's no news on this one, so we're getting straight into the review. I'm your host, Garrett Ray. Joining me,
Andy Delia.
And we are here to talk about Arthur the King, a movie that came out about a mop that saves a man, and then they walk real far. I think that's the
well, it's not
synopsis.
about King Arthur, which is, somebody asked me that.
No. This is much better than King Arthur was. Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Guy Ritchie?
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't good.
No.
I don't know. It had style. It was all the things that make a Guy Ritchie film fun.
Right, but it just wasn't good.
I didn't like it so much. Thought it was
I like The Last Legion more than I did that.
I don't even know what that is, but I like it more.
Colin Firth, Story of Excalibur.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Very small movie. I really like that film.
We're 1 minute in and we're trashing a movie.
Trust me, we are not movie elitists by any means, or at least I don't think I am. I don't know, Garrett.
Hey, I can be picky because I'm picking at. I'm not. Well, I'm not.
You
picking
haven't
at,
seen
but
enough to be a movie elitist, so
that's true. Yeah, and I mean, I love G-Force, so there's a limit to how highfalutin I can be.
Enough with the gerbils.
I know every episode I will mention G-Force. It's a whole thing. But also, one of them's a hamster. Please, thank you. And another one's a mole. They're not all gerbils, and it's quite insulting.
Rats.
There are no rats in G-Force. Please, come on.
Well, it depends on what you think of Nicolas Cage.
Ooh, I don't know. His face seems more mousy than ratty to me. That's. Then again, I've never seen his tail. That was a weird way to say that. Anyway,
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a spoiler-free review, and then we'll get into spoilers. I don't think this is definitely not going to be as in depth as probably our Dune review was. I think there's maybe a little less.
Dune, we were going really across the desert in several different ways.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that film generally kind of opens up to a lot of those different kinds of questions. So I think it was plausible for us to actually address all that.
Yeah, and I think I probably should have said this in that review, but if you're here, jumping ship from that one to this one, then welcome. But the fact that it does open those conversations means it did its job well.
Right.
I think that it does not draw necessarily a line going, here's what it is. Well, it lets you figure it out.
At least it's good to get a reaction like that instead of just apathetic.
Yes. There's nothing. The only movies I hate are the ones I feel nothing about.
Right.
Everything else, even if I'm
agree.
I don't like.
But at least you have an emotion for that film.
Yeah.
A good one for mention is, me and my wife always make the joke about Mother with Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
The first half of that film is actually really good, and then it just spirals wildly out of control. But we went to see it because everything I had read said it was such a horrible film, but didn't say why.
Yeah.
But at least, we were like, I hate that film because, a baby fetus gets decapitated. It just really...
What?
Yeah.
Didn't know that happened.
And it's not the reason for hating that film, but it's just very uncomfortable. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And just goes off the rails for no good reason at all.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, Darren Aronofsky is one of the few filmmakers in the world who I'd rather have my toenails pulled out one by one than watch one of his movies. For personal reasons, won't get into it. But
I like his earlier films. I do. Like Pi, I think is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I like The Fountain. And I like Black Swan.
And then it goes off the rails from there.
Yeah, Noah.
Yeah, Noah should... Look, you want to see that? No. And then they just switch those. And we're like, yeah, we'll make a movie out of that. I'm so sorry.
No, I still have the joke about the church group that I booked at the theater for Noah, and I warned them.
Yep.
That this is not what you think it is. That's okay. We're still going to book. I said, okay, I'm not giving a refund or anything if you go down this path.
Yeah.
Okay. And 15 minutes into that film, they were mad and upset and wanted. I'm like, nope, this is what you guys wanted.
We told you.
Sorry. Yeah. It'd be different if I didn't warn you or try to dissuade you, but I would rather be upfront and honest with somebody rather than just take their money.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I tell people when they hire my company, Solar Flight Productions, 254-421-1839, solarflightpro.com.
Shameless plug.
That they... What? No, I feel so much shame. You have no idea. But when they come to us, I'm like, all right, this is not a guy running around with a gimbal and going, "Hey, great," and then doing a bunch of template work on the back end. Like, we're gonna take the time and shoot these things properly, and it's gonna be more involved than the news station coming down and going, "Oh, we gave you a free commercial with the airtime you purchased," and then they just pan your walls and throw it in a bunch of stuff with things that are too loud. But if someone gets upset about that, then I'll make it right. But so far,
same here.
Everyone likes what we do, so.
We don't even know if everybody likes what we do yet. We haven't really, even the one that we did for Argyle, nobody's heard except my wife.
I was talking about what Solar Flight does. This, I have no idea. We are probably
Solar
screwed.
Flight, Solar Flight, I am very happy with y'all's work.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Your check's in the mail. So could have brought it over with me. Decided it'd be more fun to mail it.
You just slide the cash across the table, all right?
Okay, yeah. I'll just cash. What? No one carries cash. What are you talking about? So Arthur the King. This is a movie about a true story, based on a true story. That is basically one guy who wants to win this high intensity race. Puts together a team, and then they're out on the trail, and a dog saves them from going over a cliff. And then the rest of the movie is basically about them and the dog trying to win this race. And I'm not going to get into spoilers here just yet. But
there is a big spoiler too that
there's several.
We need to reveal the spoiler when it comes to that time too, because otherwise people may not actually see this movie.
Right? Yeah. Anyway, overall, I would say, what were your thoughts? Spoiler free. What are your thoughts on Arthur the King? Unless you want me to go first.
No, I loved it.
No, don't go first. Shut up, Garrett. Understood.
It had two things going into it that definitely appealed to me. Dog movie, yes. True story, absolutely. I like Mark Wahlberg for the most part too, but his films are really hit or miss. He'll do a good movie and then a bad movie, good movie then a bad movie. So, but that's also my opinion too.
Yeah,
and it's not to say
Mile 22, Transformers.
Mile 22, I liked.
Oh, we'll talk about that some other time.
Have you actually seen that?
I have. I reviewed it.
Wow,
did not like it. I thought it was fine. I guess.
Okay.
I didn't love it. I don't remember
it's not one
specifics,
of his best films, but it's not the worst.
Yeah.
Pain and Gain, that's the one that I absolutely hate.
I never watched it.
Yeah, that's one. Do not put that on your list, okay? Since you have that list.
The list of things I need to see but haven't?
No, that's one you definitely don't need to put on your list.
All right, I'll just watch G-Force again.
Okay. That's actually better than Pain and Gain is.
High praise.
But I thought the camera work was really good. Some of the shots were just really cool. Especially the ziplining scene. I thought was really neat.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into the zipline scene.
Yeah. The dog's cute. He's generally a mutt.
Yeah.
And it's very believable. Excuse me. The dog's very lovable. Yeah. You definitely get drawn into the story. There's a little bit of backstory at the beginning about how Mark Wahlberg's character is kind of disgraced from a race that he did previously, that he let his ego get the better of him and pretty much destroyed his team physically. And, so he has a lot to redeem for this and redeem himself. And the dog comes at the right time where, that team could have ended up dead.
Yeah. And literally dead.
Right. And just kept with them, kept persevering because the dog really had nothing to live for. It's an abused animal, which immediately has my sympathy.
Yeah.
And latches onto this team and they just keep going. And it's a source of inspiration for them.
Yeah.
And I really thought it was a good movie.
Yeah. In the last couple of days, I've seen 4 Ghostbusters movies. I've seen 2 Dune movies. I've seen this, and I, weirdly enough, amongst all of the stuff that I've watched recently, this is one I was sitting in the theater going, "This is why we love movies." Like this sort of human story is the stuff that makes filmmaking this thing that so many of us are drawn to. And I was sitting there, and I don't normally cry in movies. I cried like 6 times in this movie.
So did I.
I was one time, my wife looked over at me, and we were sitting there watching it, and I went because I was trying not to cry, and I
it's
turned
very
my
hard
face
not.
away.
If you're not emotional during this film, you're not human.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And it's weird because it's not. I'm not sitting there going like, "Oh, this is a triumph of cinema in a way that blah." You know, it's not The Godfather. I don't care. I don't care if it's The Godfather. I sat there and went.
And this could be one people could easily dispose of as, I could just wait for streaming to see this film. But no, there is something to be said for seeing this movie in the theater.
No, and I mean, when the music swells at the right moment,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I mean, this movie manipulates the heck out of me.
Oh, yeah.
The music cues and everything, and the way that the times that they look at the dog and the little faces he makes. I mean, it is manipulating you to know. And it's like being in a Scientology service. But
I don't know if I go that far.
Okay, well, it's close. Sorry, Tom Cruise isn't in this one. It's Mark Wahlberg. But it's like, it's earnest. I think that's what I loved most about it. It's an earnest film about a real thing that happened. And very fitting that we have the podcast dogs out for this this particular one. And so if you hear little running around and someone going, "No, don't pee on that,"
That's my dogs.
There's a couple dogs. But yeah, I think I do think if you're looking for a good family movie. Where everyone can go and get something out of it. I think this is good. It's got some language a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only reason I think it got the PG-13 rating is some of the language, and there's one F-bomb in it throughout the entire film, which will get that.
I don't even remember that.
It's closer to the end of the film, but it is there.
To be fair, I was watching and listening to the movie through about 6 metric tons of mucus as everything in my face poured out. Like I couldn't hear, I couldn't see. I was like,
but if that would be the only thing to really not take your family to see this film.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, it's a story about perseverance and learning to not be selfish, and like it's got very, I think like it's got very strong values at the core of it, and it's one of those things that I normally don't go for dog movies or based on a true story movies. Normally I'm like, whatever. And I like.
So you didn't like Marley and Me?
I saw Marley and Me.
Oh, you had?
I did.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
good. I found one that you did see.
Nothing about it, and I can't remember how old I was, but someone was like, "Oh, let's go see this movie," and I was like, "A dog movie," and I walked out crying and swore, never again would I trust someone with a movie.
Yeah, but at least it's not like from the 70s, like Chomps, which was the robotic dog, or even more recently, Axel, I think was the robotic dog too.
Axel.
Yeah, that's at the bottom of a cinematic wasteland somewhere.
Well, this one does not deserve to be down there with it. I tell you what. No, this is
a very enjoyable film.
And I think you can tell too, like the people making it just wanted you to, feel like how it must have felt to be out there. And I think they do a good job of that. You mentioned the cinematography and stuff. It fits so well with this. Like, this is not a movie you get the Dune look on. There's no reason for that. It's not going to work.
But it's still the landscape and everything of where they're running this race. It just looks good.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like going to New Zealand. It's cheating. It's cheating essentially. It's like, oh yeah, I've got an iPhone in 10 minutes. Like, of course it looks beautiful.
Right.
The cinematographer on this, I actually looked him up. His name is Jacques Jouffret. I believe I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Okay.
He actually was the DP on Purge 1 through 3. And then he also was the DP on Mile 22. And get this, you'll love this. He was the director of photography on a little movie that you might remember called Bloodshot.
Unfortunately, yeah, I do remember that.
I saw you get a migraine the moment I said it too.
Yeah. Another failed comic book movie that's the list of that is getting longer and longer as we go along here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
I remember seeing the trailer for Bloodshot, and for one, it was Vin Diesel, so I kind of just immediately wrote it off because I was like, I'm not a big Vin Diesel fan.
Okay, so the only reason I actually watched it is that's when COVID was really starting to hit.
Yeah, there was nothing.
I was working at a theater in Austin, like we were closed, but we were, the managers were asked to show up every day, and half the day was spent like cleaning and deep cleaning everything in the theater.
Yeah.
Second half of the day we watched a movie. And Bloodshot was the one that we picked the one day when I was like,
my condolences.
Yeah, I have no choice.
Is it worth hate watching?
No.
No, it's not even that.
No.
It's not even worth like a Mystery Science Theater 3000. Just make fun of it while you watch it.
There wasn't much I could make fun of, to be honest.
That's
other than just a
depressing.
bad movie.
Oh no. That's what we were talking about. Like you'd be apathetic about it, so it doesn't matter.
I'm still waiting for Vin Diesel's passion project that he has about making Hannibal.
I'm sorry.
That's
Does he want to be Hannibal?
Yes.
Is he?
And not Hannibal Lecter either, like Hannibal the Conqueror.
Okay. Okay. I mean, sure. Why not? I mean, he's got that Arc TV series based on the video game that's coming out. That's an animated series.
Well, is it going to be like Fast and Furious, like from La Familia?
Hey, say what you will about the Fast and Furious franchise. That's a very good lesson for children to learn. And I think that
how not to make a bad movie?
No. The importance of family. You know, the importance of family, the importance of pink slips, the importance of never covering more than 10% of your butt cheeks. I think all of those very wholesome lessons from the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, but you can get that out of Ghostbusters more than you can like Fast and Furious.
Please, you think you're getting butt cheeks in Ghostbusters?
No, but I'm not. I don't want that in Ghostbusters.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did start with Dan Aykroyd having a dream about getting the fellatio by a ghost. So,
well,
I mean, they're closer to butt cheeks at the beginning than they are now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know where this came from, and I apologize. This was written by Michael Brandt, who, actually, funny enough, wrote Too Fast, Too Furious. And then, weirdly enough, also 310 to Yuma. The one that was
Christian Bale and Russell Crowe.
Yeah, who directed that? It was the guy who directed Logan, wasn't it?
Yeah, James Mangold.
James Mangold, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you ever watched this, but there was a movie called Catch That Kid that came out.
Yes.
Have you seen Catch That Kid? He wrote that too.
Well, so he's a hack writer then. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying he has an eclectic history
310
of
to Yuma,
films.
I didn't mind though. Considering, the original one with Glenn Ford is kind of a short movie.
Yeah.
They fleshed it out actually really well.
Yeah.
And I like Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. I like both of those actors. And I thought it was a decent story. And I like Westerns. The problem is they don't make many of them anymore because they don't financially do well.
No. I remember, I watched Magnificent Seven remake when it came out. And I remember going like, oh, man, Westerns are kind of fun too. Like I was having a good day when I watched it too.
They are, but that's I have problems with that movie, and not because it's not a bad film. It's just hard for me to like that film. But because I really like the director of that, Antoine Fuqua, that does one of my favorite films, Training Day, which is an absolute. That film grabs you and holds you for the entire time that it's on screen.
Absolutely.
Magnificent Seven was just goofy, in my opinion, and just hard for me to get into.
I think that was kind of why I liked it.
But, I like going back even further. I like The Seven Samurai, which is the original Akira Kurosawa film that was done that Hollywood stole and made the original Magnificent Seven.
They would never.
A lot of those spaghetti westerns and everything are based in Japanese culture.
Oh yeah, because no one in the Old West had honor, but they always pretend that they did in these movies. Yeah, that's a Japanese concept,
right?
Or a Dune concept, I suppose. I just thought it was interesting that Michael Brandt has just so many different types of films, and not even that many of them. Really, like I've listed half of his.
Being a hack writer is kind of that's not the right eclectic. He's done.
I have no idea what his prowess is with the computer, so I can't comment on whether he hacks or not.
Oh, okay.
But sorry. And then let me see. I don't know. I think the weird thing is like, and I don't know that much about the director, Simon Kellen Jones, I think is how it's pronounced. I think this was the right team for this idea. Mm-hmm. I think it works out because the editor, Gary D. Roach, did Prisoners. He did American Sniper. He did Wind River and Gran Torino. And they are these more grounded things. I think that, mixed with...
so this material was definitely set for that kind of technical...
Yeah. Okay. And I think the team that they assembled out of it was like the right... It obviously, because the movie's good, it was the right people to tell this sort of story. And it's not... It's an interesting dichotomy because it feels like it is not overly sentimental while also being the sappiest thing you can possibly watch.
Right.
But it doesn't. It knows it's doing that, and you go, oh yeah, here comes the music. But at the same time, like it doesn't have any like overly long, weird, sappy monologues either. And thank God it doesn't.
No, it's very direct and to the point, and doesn't go on these wild tangents or anything like we do. But
I have no idea what you mean. I would never.
But I think that's the good heart of that film too. Is it doesn't. There's no film frame wasted. Like everything on that is essential and needed in cohesive storytelling.
Yeah.
And the shots at the end of the real people involved, it's always cool to see that stuff too.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I saw them out of one eye, and then I wiped the other eye, and I saw them out of two eyes, and then I saw it out of one eye again. I think overall it was just like, like I said, this is why we go to movies. I felt something, and it was also like a cathartic release of just like, happy, sad, like just kind of letting you experience that. And it moves along at such a clip that you're never bored.
Yeah.
You're never going, all right, get on with it. And so, I think it really came together in the best way this story could.
And the film took off too. Like I had no idea when we booked this film at Gravity Avenue, like, of course I was sold because I liked the trailer for it. And I had to tell our film buyer, no, it's not about King Arthur, because he had no idea. And I was like, no, we probably need to book this. It's a good, look like family friendly programming that we have.
Yeah.
And I was glad that we did. The film took off, and I had no idea that it was going to have this kind of audience. And I'm so glad that it did. And I'm so glad that people still love this kind of filmmaking. Yeah. It's very nice to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the heady stuff. I love Dune, now, especially now that we talked about it. I love those things for what they are.
There's no explosions. There's no car crashes. There's no epic battles. It's just...
And that's not to say there's not excitement.
Right.
There is.
There is, yeah.
But it's not bombastic.
It's realistic.
Yes. Sorry, I hope I didn't cut you off from a thought there.
Nope.
But...
You're good.
Yeah, I think there is still a place in actual movie releases, not just some throwaway freebie, whatever. I think there is still a place for this kind of thing. And that it weirdly kind of gives me some hope, like just going like, oh yeah, stories about just people triumphing and struggling and realizing that we're all kind of dealing with that stuff on some level. Like it still means something to us. And in a world where, everything is so high animosity, everything, all the time, especially if you look on Twitter, X. But if you look there, it's like, oh, right, the human race is doomed. And then you see something like this and you're like, maybe there's something worth saving.
See, and I think this film should be shown for like office environments for team building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that team really had to pull themselves together to persevere and get through that race.
Yes.
And there's a lot to be said for that. Mm-hmm. And you can even almost feel the heat off of the screen, the humidity and everything that they had to go through with being on that island.
Yeah. And not just because I was sitting by my hot wife.
But it was just god awful.
Oh, goodness.
The conditions. And then they're supposed to get like these breaks. They don't really take these breaks. They're generally like living on protein bars.
Yeah.
Throughout.
Or some of the worst looking meatballs I've ever seen in my life.
Which the dog loved.
Yeah. Even that dog, his teeth hurt so bad, and he still just loved those meatballs.
That's a spoiler.
I mean, that's in the trailer. The meatballs are in the trailer. So
the meatballs in the teeth thing isn't.
This one I have seen the trailer for, weirdly, of like, I've seen the trailer for the movie I knew nothing about. And then the other ones where I was like, that's a big release coming up, I ignored completely. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Yeah, okay. It's sure to make people cry. I've definitely got that.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no doubt. I cried so many times.
Yeah, I teared up a bunch of times.
I think the cast turns in good performances for the most part. Mark Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
but like sometimes he just everything he says like this. Everything he says, it comes out like this, and that's just how Wahlberg talks. And I like, okay, it's fine, but it's not it's not got some great variety in the performance.
The woman on their team was she was from Argyle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And she's better in this than she was in Argyle. That was for sure.
Natalie Emmanuel, I believe is her
name.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't look out of the main cast. I liked her performance probably the least, but that's like saying out of these 4 muffins, this one's not my favorite. You know, like they were all still good muffins. You know, it's muffin.
Right.
It was good. I felt sometimes, I don't know. It was just I can't put my finger on it. I don't know how to explain it except that I could see her doing the lines. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does,
but not all the time. It was 1 or 2 here or there, and I do think she does some stuff that's really good in this too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but that's like my only real that. And then I mean, look, I will never make fun of a child actor.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave it at that. I was a child actor. It's brutal. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so
once
it's
again.
So
Let's go back to the dark side of '90s television thing on Discovery.
Quiet on set. I'll never be able to yell that on set again without people getting weird. Great name for the documentary. Terrible for what I like to scream at people so they know to shut up when I'm trying to film. But yeah, cinematography makes the tone and kinetic energy, the concept overall, and moment to moment work. So
yeah,
that was good. All right, look, go watch this movie.
Yeah,
go watch it. Watch it at Grand Avenue.
Yep.
Wink. Seriously though,
once again, shameless self promotion. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it really everyone will get something out of this.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care if you're 96 or 9.6 or 0.96 years old. If you're 0.96 years old, there's a puppy. So spoilers. All right.
Okay, so let's address the big elephant in the room, the big spoiler of this. The dog does not die.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
You think he's going to like 3 or 4 different times. And it really pulls on your heartstrings. So the film is it is very manipulative that way, but honestly, who doesn't have any kind of sympathy for a dog that's supposed to be like it was some kind of parasite infected?
Yeah, so he has an infection of bacteria. Then he has parasites eating the infected flesh, and he has other issues.
Right.
He's been beaten, and his teeth are falling out, and he's just having the...
But you also, once again, you want to root for the underdog.
Right,
which, no pun intended, that...
He's shorter than everyone else. That dog is under.
He is the underdog. And he's getting this... The team is actually counted out either. They barely raised enough money to make that race.
They didn't raise enough money.
No.
He had Mark had to spend
his own money.
Michael, sorry, had to spend $25,000 of their own savings.
Right.
And he even says it's out of his wife's pocket. And I love that the other guy goes, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." I was like, yeah, it is. The thing about like any movie, and this is an internet thing, right? Is like, if you kill the dog, I'm not watching the movie. And they found a way to kill this dog 5 times in the span of 10 minutes. And every single time I was like, no.
Well, you see the part where it almost drowns?
Oh my gosh. I think that's the only CG dog in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time he's not real. But it was a good CG dog.
Yeah.
It was a really good CG dog.
But
when his nose slips under the water.
And they have that like face on shot of him as the dog is like sinking and the paws coming up, and it's
Samwise Gamgee all over again. Of course you are, and I'm going with you. Yeah, it's. I know it's manipulative, and I don't care.
And then. Well, after they find out like this dog has all these horrible problems with him, they're not going to let him out of the country.
Yeah.
They petition the country to actually get the dog out of the country to get him to the United States.
And they only get it pushed through because of social media influencers filming it happening.
Right.
Very 2018 of them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was 6 years ago. Holy crap.
That's when I got married to my wife.
Oh my goodness. So... Do you think we should start planning our funerals now just to get it out of the way in case, because it's happening next year?
I might. I don't know about you.
Are we not the same age? I don't.
Yeah, no, we've already said this before, but
I don't know how that works. But yeah, no, I did notice there's one thing that took me out of the movie just for one time.
Okay.
And that is at the very end when they show up he brings the dog in and he's like, "Oh, did you do this?" Because all of the racers are there to like cheer them on to get their papers to get them back home. And there's a box in the background and it has a bunch of stickers on it for Snap-on, the tool company. And I was just like, how is Snap-on related to this at all? I mean, obviously they paid for the product placement, but why are there a bunch of Snap-on stickers back here? This is not a problem with the movie. I want to make this very clear. This is a me-specific issue.
This is you being nitpicky.
Tools have nothing to do with this movie. Why did they want to be in it?
The only rebuttal I have to that is maybe one of the teams had Snap-on as a sponsor.
Maybe so, yeah. Yeah,
because they were all sponsored by somebody. They didn't just like fork over the money themselves to do this race.
Just can't imagine like Snap-on coming and being like, yeah. You know what? We're not only going to give you the money to go race. We're going to give you all the tools you need to do. And it's like, tools? We're walking. And they're like, yeah. Strap these wrenches to your feet. The soles never wear out.
Yeah, but you need tools like if something goes wrong with your bike, and part of that was a bike race.
They did have to build their bikes, didn't they? Yeah. Okay. Well, I take it back. This movie's perfect.
Well, I don't know if I would go that far, but it's very enjoyable.
This is the internet, Andy. All we have is extremes. We can't put this out there if you're middle of the road. I'm gonna need you to.
I'm not middle of the road.
I'm gonna need you to say it's perfect or it's awful.
It's not perfect.
So then it's awful.
It's not awful.
I'm gonna need you to get on board with the rating system here. This is not.
I refuse.
Fine. You just don't want our podcast to succeed. That's fine. So let's talk the zipline scene.
Okay.
Probably
maybe the most
highest tension.
It is.
Yeah.
But by the same token, how much of it almost seems unreal. Almost. And the reason being is because he's got to unhook his gear, jump around this girl to rehook, and then have her hanging from a bicycle with a piece of rope.
Did this happen? That's the main question. Because I guess
we'd have to read the book to find out.
And I thought it's possible, but I was sitting there squirming in my seat going, don't attach to the wheel. Don't attach to the wheel. Go to the front frame of the bike. Go to the frame of the bike. You have two hands right now. Get the frame of the bike closer to you. What are you doing? Because the wheel, I'm pretty sure I saw it. It's one of those wheels where you put it on and it's got the little lever to snap on.
Yeah.
I was like, don't go to the wheel. Don't go to the wheel. Don't go to the wheel. Don't go to the wheel.
Most 10-speed bikes are, however many gears it has.
Yeah.
That's generally the standard, I would think.
Yeah. And so I was just like, that's a terrible idea. But then again, I mean, it said based on a true story. So that means this is 100% true, correct? Is that how that works?
There's always dramatic embellishments.
Can't trust anything.
But
can't trust anything these days.
It's fine. It's almost to the one point in the movie where you look at that and go, okay, did that really happen?
Yeah.
But it's cool enough looking the way that they shot it because it's shot from over and under and all around with all this great jungle scenery and that they're hanging over, and it's kind of neat to see it.
We had briefly discussed the sequence, so I kind of knew there was something with the zipline coming up when I walked in, but you had talked about you just weren't sure how they filmed it. I have a theory.
Okay.
So all of the close-ups are definitely on green screen. I think there's if you look at it and you know what you're looking for, I think it's pretty obvious just from there's something about the tracking or the motion blur in the background or the lens blur that's not quite right.
I thought it might have been drones.
Not for the close-ups. For the other stuff, I think maybe, but I was thinking about that stunt where she actually lets go.
Yeah.
And they could have put a net down below that just out of frame. So there could be that. And then that would mean they could do it for real in that environment. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they would.
No.
I just think from a liability standpoint, the studio would probably be like, yeah, shoot that on a green screen. I don't want to hear about this in a year's time. And it's like we're going through the whole Rust thing with Alec Baldwin.
Right.
I don't want to do it.
That's where I was headed with that.
So I think there's probably more of it that's green screen than we think it is. But it's very good work.
It's not Matrix green screen. It's actually like good looking green screen.
I don't know what that laugh was. It's if it is green screen, it's very good. And I think they also probably have enough on location footage that they're mixing in with it that it helps to kind of trick you into thinking it. Because you could also like those moves that they're doing with the drone. they could have had the background clean and then shot the zipline stuff on a green screen and replicated those moves by doing a camera track and then programming that into an arm.
Okay.
That would actually mimic that movement perfectly. Okay. So there are ways that they could do that, which would allow you to get the same parallax and everything, and it looked perfect. But I think there's enough real stuff mixed in with that, and I would love to know. And maybe I'll go look this up after. Should have done it before, but we started recording right after we watched this, or after I watched it. And I think the mix of the practical on-set stuff with the green screen and that really sells that scene. And in a movie that, realistically it's not Dune. It's not got a $200 million budget. No. Obviously they gave their VFX team enough time to do it. Same thing with the shot of the dog. Like if you're going to have one or two shots where the dog is CGI in this film, you really have to give it the time to do it. And you can tell that they had enough time or they had enough budget to make it happen fast. Right. I think it really, really works. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to get the credit generally with audiences that it deserves for that. Because that is, even in a movie that's not like, oh, obviously they had to build a whole world or whatever. Tricking you into thinking that what you're seeing is real is way harder than everyone thinks it is. It's so difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And that scene in particular, I could tell on the close-ups, and I figure they probably did actually have them on a line, and they probably had the camera guy on a line too, because the camera's moving like it's from the other person's perspective almost.
Right. So you have that POV shot.
Right, but it's not quite POV. It's still off to the side a little bit and stuff, but it has that movement and that feel. And that's what I was saying. Like kinetically, the camera is very well planned out how they're doing that in each of these scenes. There was one shot though. There was one shot that made me giggle my butt off, and I turned.
There's always one.
There's always one. And it was when they first come up against the wall, they have to climb with their bikes on their back.
Oh yeah.
And when she comes over the top of that ridge, she gets up there and then she starts to push up, and it looks like the camera guy forgot he was supposed to tilt up, and then he grabs it and goes, oh, and like tilts up really quick. And it's not wrong. It's not bad. And I don't know why, but it just made me giggle because I was like, I can just see the camera guy going, okay, yep. It's not static. Oh,
it's just you being hypercritical again.
Hey, I'm hypercritical or just paying attention.
Do you really need to pay that much attention to that?
No, but it distracts from the IRS trouble.
Okay. We're not going to go there.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not in trouble. They can't find me. But no, I think the wides appear to be drone shots. They could be green screen because of the drop stunt, but I think there's a lot of practical elements mixed in with that, and that really sells it. And,
yeah, definitely.
I think they deserve credit for that, for sure. Mm-hmm. So, this movie was set in the Dominican Republic. And this is where we get into just a little bit of controversy surrounding this. Just a little bit.
Fill me in on that.
It happened in Ecuador.
Oh.
Yeah. So it did not happen in the Dominican Republic. And I don't know what the political, situation is in Ecuador. I don't know anything about film permits in Ecuador. I don't know anything about the logistics of producing something in Ecuador. But the Ecuadorians are very upset. Because, quote,
they
we got nothing
location.
Even though the dog was taken from our country. We got nothing for this.
Wow.
Which, I mean, look, you guys beat the dog and gave him parasites. So, I mean.
Yeah, seriously. Like, you left this dog for dead pretty much. And now you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be kidding me with that.
It's funny how people are mad about things, isn't it? Anyway, let's.
No, nothing surprises me anymore, to be honest.
Leo's the worst.
Who's the worst?
Leo. Played by Simu Liu, I believe.
The social media
influencer
guy.
He's fun to watch still though, but Leo's the worst.
Yeah, I like the guy that brought along the GPS that had everything. Their tracker.
His name is Elise Suleiman.
Yes.
And he plays Chick.
Yeah.
Is it Chick?
Because he had bad knees.
Yeah. He's apparently Palestinian Israeli, and I was trying to place that.
And they're kind of playing off as like Latin American. That's kind of weird.
I don't know if they are or if they're not. I'm gonna be honest. They didn't go into his backstory too much, except that they
Well-
live in a shack and he has to stop the wind from blowing for tourists. That scene made me laugh, and I was sitting there and I had the thought because this lady comes up and she's like, "The wind is blowing and the sand's getting and everything. Can we do something about that?" And I started laughing because it's a funny line and it's a funny idea, but I just knew that when you had watched this, there had been like a twinge in your soul. From dealing with those exact type of requests from people, because you've been in the theater industry for 2-3 years, long enough.
I wish.
Well, I mean, at least that many. Right?
I've been in this business for over 30 years, and I don't even want to count like what the actual year is on that. I know I started when I was 14 as an usher. Working in Pittsburgh for National Amusements and Cinema World.
Oh, wow.
And then over the years, I just went up and up. And, when I went for Cinemark, when they opened in Pittsburgh, that's when I initially wanted to go for management because I had gone to school for that, come back home, and they were opening that theater. I applied solely, I was working at a bank in like back office for Global Trust and Securities, which I hated, generally because
the banking sector is not fun. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, it's not. And I honestly have too much personality, I think, to like blend in with those people. To say
those darn office drones. I tell you what.
That's why I find the movie Office Space so much funnier than I think that most people, because I worked in that environment.
Oh yeah.
And if anybody has, you have to love that film. If you haven't seen it, you should.
I do, and I have. One point for me, I've seen Office Space several times.
Yeah.
Watch out for your cornhole, bud. I know Office Space.
I'm going to take my stapler back and burn this place to the ground. And it's fun.
I was told there would be sticky notes, and there's no sticky notes in it.
I worked with a guy in Mellon Bank that sat right in front of me that was Milton. And when I saw that when I was in Pittsburgh, I was like, that's him.
You don't want to dox him right now? Come on, give us his real name, his address, his social security.
No, I never. He'll never listen to this, even if he's still alive.
Oh,
but I was like, oh my god, that's so. I give Mike Judge a lot of credit for that film.
It's really good. I mean, that and he doesn't get enough credit for Idiocracy either. I mean, those. I
want to see
really
the director's cut. Is
of
what
Idiocracy?
I want. Yeah,
I didn't know there was a director's cut.
Oh yeah, it's very different than the theatrical.
Need to see that.
He got into a huge fight with 20th Century Fox over that thing.
Really?
And they delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. Because I remember, working at a theater and we had a poster for that thing forever. And when is this going to come out? And finally it came out. And of course it didn't do anything because it was so passed over and so shifted around on the release schedule.
Yep.
But yeah, if you like what you saw, there's apparently a whole different cut of that film.
I have got to see that.
Yeah.
That's going on the list.
Because I didn't think Idiocracy was as good or as sarcastic as Office Space was.
Yeah.
Like Office Space had that dead on.
Mm-hmm.
And Silicon Valley, he was behind too for HBO.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. And
I started watching King of the Hill too and was like, holy crap, this is great.
I didn't see the second season of that. I saw the first season of Silicon Valley and I liked it. I just really don't know why I never went back and watched the second season other than maybe time.
Yeah. Same reason I watched Mad Men like when I started binging it and then I just
I've never seen Mad Men.
It's it's an interesting one to try and get into because the pacing is so different from modern TV.
But I like John Hamm.
John Hamm's great in it. I mean, there's a reason that the Draper thing is like a whole, phenomenon.
And I like Christine Hendricks and I like Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, it's very good, but it is so interesting to watch it and feel like, oh, this is not just a story about the time period. Mm-hmm. It's a story told like the time period would have told it.
Okay.
And the lighting changes throughout the seasons. And I read some interviews behind because I noticed it and then started looking up the cinematographers who worked on it and stuff. And it was so cool to sit there and they go, yeah, so there's this like revolution happening in the advertising and then just the culture of the time. And then the lighting started changing and we wanted to pay attention to that. So as the seasons go on, it like starts to get lit a a little more modernly, and like as they move into the 60s and stuff, and the tone matches perfectly. And it's so interesting to watch that evolution and see how those little details change. I mean, it really is like
That's cool.
It's a fantastic piece of art.
Okay.
For sure. And the characters you do really learn to care about in a way that some shows just don't give you in the same way.
Yeah, no, that's what any show.
They're all awful though. They're all bad people.
Well, that's the one thing I had always read about it is like there's nothing morally redeeming about any of the people in that show, but that kind of makes me more even wanting to watch it. To be honest, because if everybody was like nice and cute and lovable, there would not be gangster films. There would not be outlaw movies.
Right.
And you know, those kind of characters are much more interesting than regular people.
Yeah. I mean, they're all deeply flawed and they're all hurting, and you want them all to figure it out. And I don't, like I said, I haven't seen the end, but I'm willing to bet that most of them don't. They don't figure it out. So, but it is, it's a really interesting look at, advertising and how that's changed. And then Don Draper, fascinating character, awful man. But yeah, anyway, the dog, getting to the end and they lose the race sucks.
Yeah, but they came in second.
Yes.
But they did it to rescue the dog.
Right. And it leads back to that thing his dad said at the beginning, don't be selfish. And it's weird that he had to learn that with a dog instead of his wife and child. But, I mean, we all have our own journey.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Puppy steps, please.
Yes.
Yeah. I cried constantly. My wife cried constantly. I don't know if I have much else to say about this except great job, guys. You did it. You made one that really, it knows it's going to tug at your heartstrings and it's not shy about it. It just is like, it is that movie. You watch the trailer and you go, I know what that movie is. And it is, but it's still slightly better than that normally is.
Because this could have been a box office failure too, because there's really not a whole lot going for it.
Mm-mm.
Other than
I hadn't heard about it until you mentioned it.
Oh, okay. Once again, I got excited for it. Dog film, a real story, and I'm on it.
This has changed my mind on those. I might go find some more that people have told me I need to watch, and I didn't want to. And look,
like what? I'm curious.
That's a great question. I can't think of any names off the top of my head. Oh goodness, some based on true story stuff. I have no idea.
I thought you just meant dog films in general.
Oh well, I mean dog films in general. See, okay, I love other people's dogs. I don't want to have my own. They're hairy. They fart.
You have cats.
I don't want the cat either.
Don't have a Boston Terrier. My Boston Terrier is a gas bag.
My cat is, I believe, a sleeper agent from the 7th Circle of Hell. Because what she'll do is wait till you're sitting on the couch, comfortable. She won't be anywhere near you for hours. And then she'll come up and she'll sit on your lap for a second and she'll look at you and then she'll walk off and you go, well, that was... like, it's so bad. It's the stinkiest cat I've ever experienced in my life. She comes to you to fart on you and then leaves.
Yeah, Boston's do the same thing.
Yeah,
but Boston's say, but Bugsy lays on my lap and he'll get comfortable, and then that's when he just lets loose, and I gotta sit there and go, oh God, what did you eat?
Turtle doesn't get comfortable. Turtle gets revenge. Our cat's name is Turtle. I should have prefaced that. I just made it sound like I have a turtle who's coming after you. Yeah,
our audience did not.
I realized how I was too comfortable with everyone who probably doesn't know me. Actually, that's a criticism I've received my entire life.
Oh, okay.
And I'm proud of it. You know what? People may not like who I am, but they know who I am.
I know there's people that don't like me.
Within 5 minutes of meeting me, there's no doubt. Oh yeah, this guy's that. There's no way around it. And trust me, I wish I could stop. I tried. Yeah, probably no sequel, but it doesn't need one.
It's definitely enjoyable. This is one you can pretty much let the whole family in to go see, and it's not going to offend you.
Yeah, and I think, man, there's not a lot of movies like that seems coming out. And it was refreshing to sit down and watch one of those.
And it's surprising to see that this film took off the way it did, whereas Ordinary Angels, also based on a true story, also, definitely manipulative and pulling at your heartstrings, didn't do anything.
Weird.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is that it's got the Angel Studios logo slapped in the front of it.
It's not Angel Studios.
That's right.
It's actually
okay. So the only thing I can think of is that I'm wrong.
It's Lionsgate, same studio that put out Arthur the King.
Interesting. There have been 9 emergency meetings this week then of them going, why didn't it work? Somebody figure it out. Was it because there was no dog? It's because there was no dog, isn't it? And someone's like, all right, so every true story, we're putting in a dog now. And studio executives, the smartest people in the world, believe it or not.
No comment there. I'm going to leave that one go.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Grand Review. Man, we enjoyed doing this, and we've had a long day of podcasting here.
Yes.
But this is
this has been fun.
The most fun I've had in like a year.
That's good. I'm glad. That makes me feel good.
I mean, my wedding day does slightly over.
Well, I would hope that would. Jeez.
But just a little bit. But I enjoy this, and I hope if you have any feedback on the show, anything, if you think we ramble too much, fair. But we'd love to hear from you. You can find us at Grand Review Pod anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, and some other places. I'm going to we probably are not going to be active on X/Twitter or whatever. Because
there's no need to be.
I would just rather sit on a cactus. Just for hours and just wiggle around a little. I do not want to be on X.
I wouldn't go that far, but
that's because you haven't spent as much time on Twitter as I have.
I've never been on Twitter. Well, no, that's not true. I have a Twitter account that I have not used since I set it up.
Yeah,
so I don't put anything on there.
It is the toilet bowl of humanity's thoughts.
Well, so is Facebook.
No, it's worse. Because Facebook's old people who don't know what they're talking about. Twitter is young people who
I represent
really
that
think
remark.
they know
Thank
what they're
you. It just as I refer to as Instagram is for people that don't know how to read.
Okay, that's hurtful. I was homeschooled. It's not my fault. No, I'm kidding. Homeschool is great. No, I think I turned out all right. Pretty good. I wrote notes with my hand. I can still do that.
I have
most people don't have.
I only did notes like the first thing. This one I have not, but I'm amazed at my memory lately.
I honestly, the fact you're remembering things that I'm like, I should have written that down and I forgot to by the time I walked out of the theater. But yeah, anyway, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the show.
Yes.
I hope you enjoy the rambling and stuff. It is kind of stream of consciousness here. But I think that's what's fun. That's what I love doing with my friends, and I hope that everyone enjoys this as much as we did. So.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate y'all for listening. Really do.
We really, really do. All right. Well, we will see you on the next one. I guess nothing left to say except we love you.
Yeah. Take care, folks.
Bye.